Brandon Crow watching from Hockey Canada. Writes in and he says, my wife and her two sisters all played NCAA Division I hockey. They attribute it to waiting around that chute as kids and using those prairie oysters as hockey puck. Shooting them for the dog. Here's
Bingo!
one. All the raw testicles that I collected one day, I put them in a margarine container. Remember the old Imperial margarine that had the purple crowns around it? I put them all in there, and I took them to a party, a bush party. You've been there, Moose. You weren't at that one, but you've been to them. And I was going to cook them. I was going to cook them and make people eat them and not tell them what they were till after. But it didn't matter because Philip Kenyon took one, popped it in his mouth, crunched it raw. And he was smiling, and the blood ran down just like this.
He knew what it was?
I will never forget. He knew what it was. Philip Kenyon.
That was Fear Factor before there was Fear Factor with Joe Rogan.
I know. Beer might have been involved. But the next time that we're driving to Montana, I'll show you exactly where it is, because a lot of stuff went down at that site. A lot of stuff. I'm not going to go any further, but just remind me later. I'll tell you about the bikers that were on their way back from Sturgis from the rally that stopped at our party.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
And what was it like coaching the Panthers in the 90s at the old Miami Arena? And he said it was in a bad end of town, and the police told him, when you come to a red light around the arena, don't stop. Keep rolling through because they'll come and steal your car. And he was driving an 86 Toyota Corolla. So he said he came up to a red light, and he didn't stop. He rolled through the red intersection, and some local yelled at him, don't worry, we wouldn't steal that piece of garbage.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah, that was a Doug McLean story. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show, and you're going to love it today because we're going to do something different that we've never done, and I know I'm excited about it, and I think if I'm excited about it, you're going to be excited about it. Everybody's excited about it. I'm at the Golden Ticket Sports Center, wrapping up our final week of the summer in Canada. The Moose is in Toronto, where the Blue Jays are hot. Although they lost to the Red Sox last night. I think that's the biggest story there. The guests today are my good friend Nevin Markwart. He of 309 NHL games, mostly with the Boston Bruins, but also the Calgary Flames. He'll be with us in hour one. Now a political candidate, which is going to be cool to talk to him about that. The Snowman, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. He'll be with us in hour two. And Vance Weber from the Wolseley Sportsplex, as we got a big fundraiser coming up in hour two. In October, Vance Weber is going to join us to talk about that. What's going on with you, Moose? What do you got for me this morning?
Yeah, much of the same things. You're right. The Jays are the only thing that's really hot in this city right now. It's pretty quiet around here from a sports perspective, but it'll heat up towards the weekend.
Okay, well, that's what days like today is how we manufacture the news. We are fake news, and that's what we'll do today. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please? Director Jordan Imago. It's the fun thing, though, and I talked about this yesterday. Every day at this time, point one is the big story. What's everybody talking about? Well, I can tell you that like 40 minutes of SportsCenter was dedicated to tennis, and I know the U.S. Open is on, so I don't care. So I'm going to open about 10. I just don't. I can't get into it. I just can't. So I'm going to open up viewer takeover right now for largely the whole show. Whatever you want to talk about. It's kind of insane in that everybody's into something different right now. And what this reminds me of is when I go to a banquet, sports banquet, and we got a big sports guest on the stage. Well, I've had this happen before. The guy comes up and delivers a keynote and completely misses the mark. And I'm like, you should have done a Q&A with the crowd to talk about what the people wanted you to talk about. Like Dwayne Ward came in and talked about his foundation, his charitable foundation for an hour. We're like, we want to hear about Cito. Tell us some stories. You know what I mean? So, folks, viewer takeover, we're going to start it right now. And by the way, coming up, we do have breaking news. Sean Lemon's suspension has been upheld by an independent arbitrator. His CFL career is over. That's news you can use this morning. Talking about the Blue Jays, NFL cuts. We have our Central Division prediction for the National Hockey League. And I'll be honest, I don't know about you, Darren, but it was the easiest prediction so far of any division. And we've done three. Really the easiest for me. But my number one story is this. This came into my inbox this morning. You said this would be good content and the people would get excited about it. Sportscasting.com has crunched the numbers on the secondary market to determine which NFL teams have the most expensive tickets this season. According to data from SeatGeek, average NFL ticket prices are up 9% from last year, and the average ticket price in the National Football League is $131.82. The Detroit Lions, I should have made you guess. The Detroit Lions had the most expensive tickets at $254 a ticket in the NFL. Do you want to know the lowest tickets in the NFL? How about the no? I know I didn't tell you this. Who do you think are the lowest tickets in the NFL to pay and go watch?
It could be my Tennessee Titans.
No, it's actually the New Orleans Saints, believe it or not, at $43, and followed by the Jacksonville Jaguars at $48. And yours and my good friend Jeff Pearson's coming down to Jacksonville in November, and he expects to see us there. With these ticket prices, no problem. I'll be there. Which team do you think blank will be the road team for the two most expensive NFL games? The most well-traveled fan base is this. The blank will be the road team for the two most expensive NFL games of the year. I get it. Who's the most... Do you know what I'm saying? Who's the most costly
Kansas
road
City
team? No, it's actually not. According to SeatGeek and Sportscast, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they are still the Steel Curtain. They still have the tremendous brand, and I can guarantee, because I've seen them play in Arizona, I've seen them play in Miami. I get it. They draw the most Steelers fans on the road, and it's the most expensive. By the way, the average ticket price for the international games, because they're playing in England, Germany, and Brazil this year, the average ticket price there is $293. And I also just want to say this. I bought tickets yesterday for the Miami Hurricanes against Florida A&M, because Henry Burris is coming down there. He's the quarterback's coach of Florida A&M. I bought 2 tickets. Me and my guy Chris from the Bronx are going together. How much do you think the tickets were each to go to Hard Rock Stadium and watch?
I saw that you posted it. I know you're in the 100 level. I'm going to guess that your tickets were about $325 each.
$28.
What?
$28. I'm sorry. Yeah, $28. I like Chris. I don't like him that much. $28.
I'm thinking about going to the big house, I guess, in Michigan or something.
Yeah, section 120. I see it didn't have. Yeah, here's my ticket. And I posted it to my Instagram story. So, yeah, $28 a ticket, man. So, whatever. My friends are saying, not surprised why these university games in Florida have such big crowds, because they don't really have expensive tickets. FAU, which plays just down the street from my house, they're like $12 tickets, $75 season tickets to go watch the Florida Atlantic University Owls. So I know that you're right. The fans really love talking about ticket prices, because why not? They're the ones paying the freight. So I said it would be viewer takeover right from the jump. And I'm a man of my word, as I said to my friend Ben Cobbs in South Florida this morning. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, I used to be able to get outstanding seats for $100 in the Oakland Coliseum before the Vegas move. I got friends that are season ticket holders with the Oakland or Vegas Raiders, and it's ridiculous what they're charging. The cheapest ticket to get in to see the Dolphins now is over $200. That's the cheapest ticket, and it goes into the thousands. It's ridiculous. Rob in Vegas wrote in, and then he deleted his comment. Rob in Vegas, where'd you go? John in Edmonton writes in. He says, hey, Rod, thoughts on this? According to Frank Saravelli, the Edmonton Oilers and forward Leon Draisaitl are further apart than he originally expected in terms of annual average value during ongoing contract negotiations. What do I think about it? I think that it will eventually get done. Hey, Ryan in upstate New York. Welcome, Ryan McCarthy, the Cardinal. Can we call you the Cardinal, Ryan? He has joined us. We're talking about NFL ticket prices. Detroit has the most expensive in the National Football League and the highest percent jump. Ticket prices went up 9%. And the cheapest tickets in the NFL are owned by the New Orleans Saints. So let's get the comments in. I said we're starting viewer takeover early because everybody wants to talk about something different these days. So I'm cool with talking about what you people want to talk about. Ding.
How about that?
Point two, an independent arbitrator has upheld the CFL's indefinite suspension of veteran Montreal Alouettes defensive lineman Sean Lemon for sports betting. The league suspended Lemon indefinitely on April 24th for allegedly betting on games, including one he played in. He appealed the ban in May. Today it was announced, you're not winning, you're done. Your suspension's at least upheld. The 36-year-old has played in 13 CFL seasons, winning 3 Grey Cups and becoming the 13th player to record 100 sacks. I don't think it's a secret to anybody. We know Sean well. He played with the Rough Riders twice. He's been on this show multiple times. I think his career's over. It's sad that it would end this way after 3 Grey Cups. It's a Hall of Fame career, but Darren, he ain't going to the Hall of Fame now. That's the news today. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's just how it's going to go down. And we feel really bad. I like Sean Lemon. I think we like Sean. He's a good person. I don't think he meant anything or was trying to be nefarious in this. But that's the rule. And what really sucks in all this is Sean was probably innocent enough in what he was doing. You know, did it affect the outcome of the game? Was it, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, if they let Sean back into play and resume his career, then that precedent is set forever. That's always back in history. So the next guy who does it, well, look what with Sean. I'm sorry, it was an accident. And then I get to play. And then your rules don't mean anything. And then you can never uphold the rules you want to apply to the game and keep gambling away from the players. So unfortunately, as much as it sucks for him, it's almost like he needs to be made an example of. And for the future of the rule and wanting to uphold it, you have to uphold his suspension. And so they are.
It's unfortunate all around. This gambling thing is so touchy. It's such an interesting time in sports. But we wish Sean well. It is a Hall of Fame career. I don't think we'll get into the Hall of Fame now. But Sean's the kind of guy that'll be a success at anything that he does. He's a great guy, and he's helped us out from the jump with this program. Anytime we've asked, I'm in. I think he's a great guy. Made a mistake. Off with your head. Welcome to sports these days. And for that matter, life. Mandy in Edmonton writes in and she says, Moose, Arnold Schwarzenegger was photographed on Monday out for a bike ride in Toronto. He's filming a Netflix series in Toronto. But you saw him first. That's from Mandy. Do you want to respond to her?
How about that?
Yeah, I saw the video too. I think it was an old video potentially, but he is here. It was confirmed. So that's good that my story holds some water now.
Yeah. Dude, I never doubted you for a second. You know that I did.
Good.
If I did doubt you, I'd have told you.
Of course. Exactly.
Rich in Edmonton writes in. He says, NHL prices, at least here in Edmonton, are crazy. You're crazy. At least compared to the NFL. I'd like to know what the average ticket price is in the National Hockey League. Thank you, Rich, for bringing that up. I was playing around with the idea of buying Panthers season tickets the last 2 years. I don't really need them, but if I had to, last year at this time, they were $888. I'm not joking. For the tickets I was looking at in the upper deck. This year, that same ticket is $1,500. But if you do the math, 41 home games plus preseason works out to like $36 a ticket, even at that. So I'll probably buy them. I don't know. I'll decide when I go home. Regarding the Sean Lemon news today, Kevin the Medium, you remember him, our guy Kevin the Medium, he says, so gambling bad, sexual harassment, okay. Scott in Vancouver writes in, he says, apparently some of the obscured seats in Utah are around $20. Oh my God, that's hilarious. I've seen some of the seats. Have you seen photos of the seats in the rink in Utah? You can't even see 190 feet of the ice. I'm not sure I would even pay $20 to get in and just see one net. Is this going to be a disaster?
At least they put on the ticket, obstructed view.
Oh, exactly. Oh, exactly. Folks, the RP Show warm-ups brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. We've got it all. Use promo code RP Show for 15% off now. Check us out at seatgiant.ca. If you've just joined us, sit down, make yourself comfortable. What I've said today is it's viewer takeover right from the start. Normally, this is me and Moose's time to go over the sports topics, but there's really nothing going on right now but tennis, and that bores me, and I don't want to talk about it. So we'll talk about NFL cuts, the CFL news, and our NHL predictions. Boom. John Ohm over there in Winnipeg writes in, I paid $65, he says, for 4 rows above players' bench for the last playoff game of the Winnipeg Jets. 1.0 back in 1996. $65. Today, that $65 would be just fees for a playoff game today. Boom. I know. I bought my tickets through StubHub for the college football game that I'm going to next weekend, and it was like $10 a ticket fees from StubHub. Whatever. It worked out to $78. Something like that, U.S. for 2 tickets. I think I can handle that. Point 3, the Toronto Blue Jays and Boston Red Sox continue a 4-game series today at Fenway Park. The Red Sox ended Toronto's 5-game winning streak with a 6-3 win Tuesday night. Chris Bassett gets the start for Toronto tonight. I'll say it again. I tuned in the Jays game last night. Was that before or after? Must have been before. I went to the movie Blink Twice, starring Channing Tatum. I think I'd rather talk about the movie. I'll just say Dan Shulman and Buck Martinez make a tremendous pairing. The Jays don't need to win a game. We just sit back and listen to the great announcers, and it makes us happy. You know what I mean? But listen to this. I went to the movie. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. I got to tell you this. Landmark Cinemas. I went to the movie last night with Joe. Blink Twice. Channing Tatum is the star. And it's like a takeoff on, I would say, the Jeffrey Epstein story. Follow that if you're not aware. And they rounded up a bunch of girls at a party in New York, put them on a plane, flew them to this rich guy's private island, and drugged them and did really nasty things to them. It was disturbing, to be honest. And there was a trigger warning at the start. I've never been to a movie where they put a thing up on the screen there and a disclaimer that said if you are triggered by harassment, sexual harassment, domination, you might want to watch. I'm like, oh, boy, we're in this for something here. And then just a wild ending. But I will say this. One of the key lines in the movie from Channing Tatum was, forgetting is a gift. So basically, they were drugging these girls and doing horrible things to him. And he's like, well, you don't even remember, so it's like it didn't happen. I'm like, well, that's, oh, God. It's just disturbing. I'm not sure I could even give it 1 thumb up. I don't think I will. But I will say this, what I took away from it, because I try to learn from every experience, forgetting is a good thing. If you want to forget about all bad things that have been done to you or said to you, that's your choice. Actually works pretty good. I'm taking the day to forget about all the nasty things that have happened in my life, and it actually works real good. Is that movie something that you would be interested in? I'm not sure I've sold you or the public on the movie Blink Twice, starring Channing Tatum.
If I'm in the right space, it would be like a game time decision if I'm going to go, right? Like, I think I have to be in the right headspace to be up for that. It's not just a movie that I could probably be into or be excited about just at any time, like I am with most movies. But I think it could be curious just to, understand more of that story and get a look inside of how bad it was.
It's got to be a pretty... Well, by the way, Epstein was never named. I'm just sitting there watching and going, this is kind of loosely based on what Jeffrey Epstein was accused of. But his name was never used. He wasn't playing Jeffrey Epstein, but it's like what I say. Right. Load up a bunch of young girls, put them on a plane to your island where there's no laws, and do whatever the hell you want to them, is what happened. Which was what he was accused of. It's got to be a pretty bad movie for me to get up and walk out, and I've done that at several movies. This wasn't one of those. But what I will tell you is I'll give The Hot Dog at Landmark Cinemas a 7.5 out of 10. Maybe an 8. It was really good. We'll be right back. When we come back, NFL cuts, including the Canadians and where they may be headed. NHL Central Division predictions, Canada's Game of the Week in the CFL. It's all ahead This is the warm-up. Well, we got Nevin Markwart in next, right? So you and I'll pick this up in hour 2. Oh, it's segment 3 with Nevin. Okay. So it's me and Moose next, right?
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, WQEE, streaming live on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Alrighty, CFL fans, join us for the second annual Labor Day Golf Classic this Saturday at Aspen Links in Regina, hosted by the Rod Pedersen Show. It's your chance to golf with your choice of Rough Riders and Blue Bombers greats. I will be hosting. We're going to draft the night before, an after party at Ballers Rec Room. DM us for details. Please bring the moose in. It's been fun. As I said, Darren, we're going to do viewer takeover right from the jump, and people have gravitated to that. I appreciate that. We've been talking about NFL ticket prices. The Lions have the most expensive this year. The Saints have the cheapest. Also, there is news out of the Canadian Football League. Sean Lemon, and let's be honest, he's a big name. He's been in the league 13 years, won 3 Grey Cups, had his suspension upheld by an independent arbitrator for betting on games. And I don't think we'll see Sean Lemon again. It's unfortunate. So people are writing in. Our guy, Kevin the Medium in Calgary, says, he said, so betting bad, sexual harassment good. He's referring to Chad Kelly. Kevin says, why does the CFL make it so hard to love it? The Jug in Saskatoon writes in, he says, excuse me, Sean Lemon remains suspended, but Chad Kelly can play. What is going on? Stupid. Both of them shouldn't be playing. That's from the Jug. Mike, Darren, is in Winnipeg, and he writes in and he says, the difference between Lemon's and Kelly's suspensions are one player is at the end of his career, one is not, and is a quarterback and plays in Toronto. Hey. Oh, can I just lob you that hand grenade? Oh, wait, let me pull the pin out first.
Yes, please.
Okay. Different rules for different guys?
I get it. You cannot compare Sean Lemon to Chad Kelly. You can't. Because, you know, it is not even apples and oranges. It's cucumbers and bananas. Like it is, you know, not the same. And not saying that one is worse than the other. Like in a lot of cases, we would agree that what Chad Kelly did is worse than what Sean Lemon did, for sure. But when it comes to a league, you know, it's a code of conduct. And when we want a player in a league, okay, that's a different situation. They assess that and thinks he can be better. But with Sean Lemon, we're talking about the integrity of the football game, right? Potentially. I don't think what Sean Lemon did really, you know, affected the integrity of the game, because I don't think he had any negative intentions. But that's what we're talking about here. You know, the integrity of the game, fixing games, and that just can't be allowed by the league. The other is a personal matter, which is still bad, but it doesn't affect the play on the field and the league as a whole.
Yeah, I appreciate your insight on that. I continue to hear more and more on the Chad Kelly situation. I hear more about the coach that launched the case against him. It's just an ugly, ugly situation all around. And to be honest, I'm glad I'm not part of it. What I will say is the CFL has ruled, and I'm willing to move on myself. Like everybody can look at it their own way. Joel in Saskatoon writes in, he says, will Delvin Cook help the Cowboys this year? Well, number one, I believe he hasn't signed yet. He's in Dallas for a visit this week, or in camp for a visit. Here's the thing with the Dallas Cowboys. And to quote Roy Shivers, running backs are a damn a dozen. I know Delvin Cook is special, but there's a reason he's on the street. We're not worried about a running back. We just paid a whole lot of money to CD Lamb. You can put anybody in there. I think we'll be okay. Delvin Cook will help at the right price. Of course he'll help. It all comes down to money this time of year. Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, hi, Rod. Lowest ticket for an Argos game is $36. And, oh, I miss the room with the pendants. I'm not sure about that, but what he means. But Mike in Calgary writes in, an indefinite suspension for a $100 bet is excessive.
How about that?
Well, you made a point, Darren, about making an example of a guy, and it's unfortunate when you're dealing with a guy's career. I guess the question is here, did you do it or did you not do it? I kind of get a bang out of this. People that have been charged with a DUI, and they go to court to fight it, and sometimes they get off, sometimes they don't, but it's like, did you do it? You can get off on a technicality if you want, but did you do it? You know, it's just where we're at these days in society. Patrick is in Regina. He writes in and says, good morning, Rod. Regarding nicknames for the riders, remember yesterday we were talking about they're trying to start this DERS, dumbest thing I ever heard. He says, I started referring to them as the Triders last year. Craig Dickinson always said in his post-game interviews after a loss how hard the guys were trying. Fair.
How about that?
The dude in Winnipeg, okay. He says, hey, Rod and Moose, predictions for the Bombers and Riders for both the Labor Day Classic and Banjo Bowl? Thanks. Signed, Mike from Winnipeg. History shows that they split them, so I'm not willing to move on. The best predictor of the future, I think, is still the past, even in sports betting, I think. Here are the betting lines from covers.com for those that don't know yet, if you haven't looked it up. Touchdown Pacific on Saturday, Ottawa versus BC in Victoria. I see they're adding seats for the game. Doesn't surprise me. This is going off like gangbusters. Lions favored by 3.5. Labor Day Classic 59. Here at Mosaic on Sunday, the Riders favored by 2.5 over the Bombers. We're not doing picks yet. He's not sucking us in, Darren. We're going to wait till at least tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow we'll do the pick. Argos favored by 5 at the Hammer in the Battle of Ontario, and Edmonton at Calgary. Stamps favored by 2.5. That is our poll question today, by the way. What's the game of the week? I'll go out on a limb and say, I'll say Riders win this one, Bombers take the Banjo Bowl. I'm not going to ask Darren to make his pick. Is there a game more tantalizing to you than that, Darren? Last I saw, 75% of respondents saying it's the Sask-Winnipeg game is the game of the week.
Yeah, and I think it still is because of implications in the West standings, the rivalry, all the rest. Touchdown Pacific, because of the pomp and circumstance, is still right up there. And you've got Ottawa who's playing really well. We're still intrigued by Nathan Rourke. That's a 1B for me.
This is why we have a vote over what is the game of the week, as I say, because that Touchdown Pacific probably isn't getting as much hype as it should, but it is only Wednesday. To be honest, it'd be nice to see TSN have their panel out there and already reporting. I haven't seen it. I watch Sports Center every day. Dang sure Sportsnet is not going to be going. Do they even know it's on? Hello, Sportsnet. There is a CFL.
How about that?
I guess as we're sitting here, cuts, 0.4 of our Quick Six show topics are these. Canadian Matthew Betts is looking for a new football home. The CFL's top defensive player last season was released Tuesday by the Detroit Lions. He signed a one-year deal with the club shortly after his contract with the Lions expired back in February. The 6'3", 250-pound Montreal product had a CFL high 18 sacks last season, the most ever by a Canadian player. Meanwhile, veteran defensive back Tavon Campbell was among the Jacksonville Jaguars' final cuts. The 31-year-old from Toronto was signed by the Jags off the Raiders practice roster. He played in the CFL with Sask and Montreal. So those are some of the cuts. I wasn't sitting there hitting refresh, but you know what? I do know that CFL GMs, a lot of fans, and probably NFL GMs and personnel people were hitting refresh on all the cuts yesterday. So you were check. Anything stick out to you, Canadian or otherwise?
Yeah, the Betts one is interesting. And, last night I thought, he'll wait around and probably get snapped up on a practice roster or at least get offered one. But this morning I'm reading about it, and based on his age and how much attention he'll get in the Canadian Football League, that he might sign back here actually fairly quickly. Dakota Shepley waived by the Cowboys, but he signed a practice roster spot. So Dakota Shepley is going to stay with the Cowboys on their practice roster, I saw. Few other moves, but those were the ones that jumped out to me.
We got a lot of comments coming in from our beautiful viewers, and I appreciate you. 902-518-3033 is the text line. Breaking news. Thank you, John and Edmonton, for pointing out National Lacrosse League update. The Panther City lacrosse team is moving to Charlotte, North Carolina for the upcoming season. Ooh, I just got shivers. That team was only in Fort Worth, Texas for like 2 years. I don't know why it worked. Charlotte is, well, you were there with me, Darren. They got a beautiful facility downtown where the Charlotte Checkers play, the hockey team. It's a gorgeous downtown, the Queen City. Midwoods barbecue. Do you need a broadcaster? Nah, I'm trying to bring an expansion team to South Florida and the NLL. But the Panther City lacrosse team is moving to Charlotte, North Carolina. Thank you, John, for pointing that out. John Ullman, Winnipeg, says game of the week is in the pile of bones. Winnipeg at Sasky. Yeah, but the Touchdown Pacific, the first of its kind, there's a case to be made why that would be the game of the week. They're all great. They're all great. And as I've seen, they're adding seats for us. That tells me there's a huge demand there. Darren, predictions for the Central Division, and we'll get everything out of the way here on time. Can't believe it. This was the easiest division for me to pick. I'm not saying I'm going to be right, but it just fell into place for me. Colorado Avalanche 1, Dallas Stars 2, Nashville Predators and Steven Stamkos 3, Winnipeg Jets 4th. They'll make the playoffs. Missing the playoffs, the Flower and the Minnesota Wild. the St. Louis Blues, admittedly in a rebuild. 7th, the Chicago Blackhawks. Better, but still out of the playoffs. And the last place, Utah, somethings. That's it. Fast. Came together real easily for me. What are your Central Division predictions?
How about that? I've got Colorado 1, Nashville 2, Winnipeg 3. Sorry, Allie. I got Dallas dropping to 4th this year. And then I've got, in a surprise, I've got Arizona 5th, just on the outside. Then Minnesota.
Well, they moved.
Then
moved,
Chicago and St. Louis I have in the basement.
Arizona moved?
Yeah.
Did you miss that day?
Utah.
Okay. I'm just teasing. Okay, well, that was fun. That was quick and easy.
I like it.
Yeah.
Last year, by the way, it was Dallas, Winnipeg, Colorado, Nashville, and then missing St. Louis, Minnesota, Arizona, Chicago. For both you and me, no change in the playoff teams, interestingly enough.
Yeah.
See you in hour 2.
See you then.
We're going to talk to a Bruins great when we come back, and a Politico now as well. We're live on the Game Plus television network across all of Canada, 31 U.S. states, on the radio on WQEE, streaming live on YouTube as always, also Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Now the race is on and here comes pride in the backstretch.
Celebrate 40 years of Sawyer Brown.
Some girls don't like boys like me.
With Shenandoah.
You got to get me to the church on the Cumberland Road.
Plus special guest George Fox. Saturday, October 26th, Moose Jaw Event Center.
I'll take the dirt road.
Tickets are on sale now at the Moose Jaw Event Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
6 days on the road and I'm
Sawyer Brown and Shenandoah live.
The WCBL continued to grow this summer. 12 teams, 2 provinces, pacing towards 400,000 fans, an all-time high in 2024. The WCBL had a record number of players drafted in this summer's Major League Baseball draft. 2024 playoffs start August 7th.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hey, ARP Show viewers, we're brought to you in part by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. As you know, hockey players, are you looking for the perfect place to perfect your shot? Look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes with state-of-the-art shooting lanes and top-notch equipment. It's the ultimate training destination, 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. Let's bring him in. Our good friend Nevin Markwart is Flames alum, but far more the Boston Bruins, where he spent most of the 80s. Hey, Nibsy, 309 NHL games with the Bruins and the Flames. Got his nice, beautiful Pats alumni coat on. I got one of those. Nevin, who do you identify more with, Flames alumni or Bruins? I think I know the answer, but who do you follow the most?
Well, I was the Bruins' first pick in the 83 draft, and I was fortunate enough to make the team as an 18-year-old. So, my early mentors were Bobby Orr and Terry O'Reilly and Ray Bourque. And so those days, you just can't take them away. They were so much fun. So I identify pretty solidly as a Boston Bruin.
Okay, good. That's fine. But I didn't want to ask the wrong question here. So with the Bruins winning the President's Trophy 2 years ago and stubbing their toe against the Panthers in round one and then bowing out to the Panthers again last year, are they going to reach the top of the mountain with Jim Montgomery or what? What's the deal with the Bruins?
Yeah. So, the Bruins tradition is to run sprints there's no marathoning going on with the Boston Bruins. And so, a couple of years ago when they had that run and they had, the most points ever in the sort of history of the NHL, that's just the mentality of the team. So, when you look inside of the organization, Cam Neely really revitalized the organization back in 2011 when they won the cup. And so, I think the tradition in Boston is to try hard every game. You want your goalie to get hot when you get to the playoffs, maybe a little bit more scoring punch, trying to do things at the trade deadline. But you will always get a solid effort out of a Boston Bruins team. And, I think as a fan and as a management and as a, an ownership group, that's all you can expect. You put everything out on the ice every game. And, when it's all over, you're going to win a lot more games than you're not.
I think you were just out in Alberta, and as I mentioned, or at least you had Country Thunder out there, you've spent a lot of time in Alberta. I've got the Flames picked to be 8th in the Pacific Division. It hurt. It hurt me, but I didn't get a lot of argument from Flames people. How much are you following the rebuild there as they've broken ground, I understand, and done significant progress already on a new facility?
So again, I'm not that close to the Flames and what's going on in Calgary. I would just say this is that, great organizations start with culture. And so I think that, to the degree that they can just re-emphasize those days back in, 89 when they won the cup, there's a solid group of alums that are in Calgary and they're working in the community and they're doing great things. And, again, I think that to the degree that you can have some of that fall back on that 89 team and get some of the, current players maybe mingling with those alums and, getting that feeling. There's a feeling when you win. Okay. I played for Boston in 88 and 90 when we lost to Edmonton Oilers, those two times to the cup. And, the thing about going to the Stanley Cup final is that you have to win. Like there's no alternative. I mean, I'm so disappointed for the Oilers fans this year because, they were one goal away from winning it all. And you may never, ever get a chance to get back there. So I thought that the playoffs this year were incredibly exciting. The Zach Hymans of the world in Edmonton were just magnificent in that final. And, I think that, whenever you have that rivalry between Edmonton and Calgary, it's awfully tough because Edmonton definitely is in a bit of a crest right now. Like they've had a lot of disappointment over the last 10 years, and it just feels like things might be coming together for them. And Calgary is in a rebuild. So, that's the compare and contrast that you have in Alberta right now.
One last hockey one before we switch gears. Best Regina Pat ever. Dale Durkach or Connor Bedard? You played with the Rat, and you seen Connor in the big.
Oh man,
I know that's a tough one. I know.
Okay, so I would put Doug Wickenheiser in that group as well.
Okay.
If you want to talk about the best. And so I have to say that one of the big disappointments of my life is that in my 5th, 6th, 7th years in Boston, where I actually had a little bit of pull inside of the organization, that I never went to a Harry Sinden and said, hey, there's this guy named Dale Durkach, and I'd really like you to bring him to training camp, because if you did, he'd be on the team. And so Dale is one of the, great hockey people, but just an absolutely outstanding player. And in today's era, he would have played. In my era, it was just, somebody 5'6", 135, 140 pounds. Like it didn't meet the criteria of being an NHLer back in those days. But again, I played against Dale from when I was 14 years old, and then I played with him starting when I was 17. And it was way more fun to play with him than to play against him. Let me tell you that.
Both tremendous players, both first-class individuals, too, by the way. As are you, Nevin. And now you're in the political world. And that's why part of the reason why we have you on here today. How can we help you with this venture?
Yep. So my wife and I moved back to Saskatchewan 3 years ago to advance the province. I left hockey in 1992. Went off and got an MBA in finance and kind of got to the top of the finance industry in the world. And so we've come back to Saskatchewan to pay back. Aaron is working in Indigenous education, and I am focusing on government. This is my 3rd campaign in 15 months, Rod. So I've lost twice in a row. The last race that I was in, I lost by 1 vote. Literally 1 vote. And so I am running to be the Saskatchewan candidate, the Sask Party candidate in the next provincial election, which is very close. It's in October. And I'm running in the riding of Moosomin Momard. So it's basically from Indian Head to the Manitoba border along the Trans-Canada Highway. What I offer that distinguishes myself from my competitor is that I've made a pledge that I will partner with every town council, every RM council, with every First Nation council. I will meet with them 2 to 3 times a year, and I will look for their 1 or 2 priorities for their area. And I will go into the legislature and I will lobby in order to get the resources in order for them to be able to attain those top 1 or 2 priorities. And so on the basis of that, I have been publicly endorsed by 3 mayors here in the riding, and many more are starting to follow along as well. So I'm very excited. If there's anyone that's watching that's in the riding, we're having an informational session tonight at 7 o'clock in And in that meeting, I will get up and talk about what is my plank and what how I think I can help the province along. So that's at the Grenfell Legacy Inn, right on the Trans-Canada Highway. We'll probably have 100 or 200 people that will show up. So we're very excited, but I think Saskatchewan has the greatest prosperity profile of any place in the world. I lived in Massachusetts for 40 years. They know where everything is in Massachusetts. They've been, people, there's been industry in Massachusetts for 300 years. In Saskatchewan, the upper half of our province has something called rare earth minerals. It's a bounty that could be worth $1 trillion. And I think that the skill sets that I developed in the financial industry in Boston will allow me to help the province uncover that bounty. And I'm very, very excited about it, Rod. And, again, you've been a great friend over the years. And, I really appreciate the opportunity to get on this great show of yours.
I'm really excited for you, Nevin. And good luck with it. I wish I could be there tonight. But, ladies and gentlemen, your next MLA for the riding of Moosomin Momart, Nevin Markwart. Good luck, Nevin. You'll do great.
Thank you, Rod. Have a great day.
NHL veteran, Flames and Bruins alum. And as I said, your next MLA for Moosomin Momart, Nevin Markwart. We'll be right back with a sports update and more viewer takeover right after this, live on Game Plus TV, Key Radio, of course, streaming live on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hey, everybody. Just before we get to the sports update, we did have some great comments come in here from the audience. And thank you, Bruce Rogers, for checking in. Longtime friend of mine, supporter of the show. He says, great guest, Rod and team. Nevin is a great Pat that doesn't get the recognition deserved. He has insight and knowledge, hockey and otherwise. I'm pulling for him big time. He's a good guy. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in, he says, hey, Wayne in Victoria, what do you know about the venue for Ottawa versus BC? Touchdown Pacific. I'd like to know, too. I did get a news release, though, from the Lions last night where they said that they are adding to the VIP seating. So not only do they need more seats, they need more expensive seats. I would love for there to be a day that the CFL expands. I don't think that's going to happen. Let's just start with where we're at. Going to Victoria for a game is outstanding. A market that's never had a team. I am envious. I'm not going to say that's the game of the week. I do think historically Winnipeg, Saskatchewan is, no doubt. That's just me. I'm entitled to my opinion. It is the Rod Pedersen Show. But I'd really like to be in Victoria. God had other plans. The Toronto Blue Jays will send right-hander Chris Bassett to the mound tonight at Fenway Park as the 65-69 Blue Jays get ready to play their fourth game in 3 days against the Boston Red Sox. Righty Brian Bayo will be on the hill for the Red Sox, who beat the Jays 6-3 last night. The Kelsey brothers are cashing in. Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce and his brother Jason are taking their popular New Heights podcast to Amazon's Wondery. The financial terms of the 3-year contract weren't released, but reports indicate it's a 9-figure deal. Never heard it. Has anybody watched or listened to it? I just have my favorites. I feel like we all have our favorites. And the Kelsey podcast isn't one. Although that, again, is just me. It's like Darren gets all wound up about the Hard Knocks, and I know everybody does too. But for 2 reasons, I don't. Number one, I lived it for 20 years, being around the training camps and around the guys. It's just not that interesting to me, nor is like spitting chiclets. It's dressing room talk. I've got it, had it. It's all good. It's not for me. And the other one was when they did Hard Knocks on the Cowboys. I didn't want to get to know my team that well. I didn't like Dak Prescott before. After watching that, I liked him even less. It is what it is. Have you watched the Kelsey podcast? I have not. I listen to other things. We'll talk about next hour what those are. Sports updates for Landmark Cinemas. And Landmark Cinemas now blink twice. When tech billionaire Slate King, played by Channing Tatum, meets cocktail waitress Frida at his fundraising gala, sparks fly. He invites her to join him and his friends on a dream vacation on his private island. It's paradise. But no one wants this trip to end, but as strange things start to happen, Frida begins to question her reality. I don't even want to spoil it and tell you how it ends. But it's disturbing. I'll give it a half thumb up. A half thumb up at Landmark Cinemas. Blink twice. I can't even tell you to go. If you go with an open mind. That's all I'll say. Went last night. I was like a night at the movies. I didn't leave. I didn't walk out. So that's a plus. The Snowman and Vance Weber. Next hour, after this brief pause here on the RP Show. It's viewer takeover all day, so get them in. And we'll be right back after this brief break.
capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
So what was it like coaching the Panthers in the 90s at the old Miami Arena? And he said it was in a bad end of town, and the police told him, when you come to a red light around the arena, don't stop. Keep rolling through because they'll come and steal your car. And he was driving an 86 Toyota Corolla. So he said he came up to a red light, and he didn't stop. He rolled through the intersection, and some local yelled at him, "Don't worry, we wouldn't steal that piece of garbage."
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
We're having a really, really good day today. At least I think we are here on the RP Show. Welcome on in. We are at the Golden Ticket Sports Center, wrapping up this summer here in the Band City. It's been so wonderful. It's been such a great venue to host the show. Moose is in Toronto, and I don't know, maybe we need to do this more, Darren, right from the jump, where I said viewer takeover from the start. It's people have globbed onto it, and I've really enjoyed it. Yeah. I'm enjoying. Can I read some more comments to you? I guess
I love it.
What
Read
I should
the comments. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, let me just, and everybody's positive. I want to keep it positive here. I was saying to Darren an hour ago. Was it before the show? I said, Darren, what are you seeing? And you're like, well, Paul Feinbaum's fighting with, who did you say, with Coach Prime?
Dion.
And Stephen Smith's fighting with Coach Prime. Everybody's fighting. Not here. I'm not in a feud. I don't want to be. I feel like maybe time's passed me, but I don't want to fight with anybody. You know, let's just have fun and talk sports. We're not splitting atoms here, for the love of God. We're not brain surgery. It's sports. What's everybody fighting? Anyways, so number one is viewer takeover. 2, Sean Lemon, the breaking news.
Yes.
Sean Lemon's suspension's been upheld by an independent arbitrator for betting on CFL games, including ones in which he played. His career's probably over. That came down this morning. Blue Jays are at the Red Sox tonight, and that'll be the capper of the series, right? I think it is. I'm losing track of them all. NFL cuts came down yesterday. We talked about which ones stood out. Matthew Betts probably on his way back to the CFL. Last year's most outstanding Canadian in the CFL. 0.5 was our NHL Central Division rankings. That got people going. And then Canada's Game of the Week in the Canadian Football League. It's Labor Day Classic Week in the CFL. A case can be made for all the games as to why they're the Game of the Week. So to take it to the streets, Jeff writes in, and he's an original Hamilton guy. He says, hey, guys, I know this is a Western-based show, and it's not really meant to be. That's kind of why I try to spend the majority, well, one of the reasons why I try to spend the majority of the year in Florida, and Darren's in Toronto. It's not all Western-based. It's just where we're from. It's what we know best. But he says, having been to every version of the Labor Day Classic, there isn't any rivalry quite like Hamilton versus Toronto. This is Jeff. And I think you've met him. I've certainly met him. He's a great dude. He says two teams. He's the guy that strolled in there last year with a Hamilton chain into McMahon. Remember that? I'm like, buddy, you're just begging to get your ass kicked. But anyways, he says two teams separated by a 70K stretch of highway that technically aren't even separate. You go from Hamilton to Toronto without ever leaving the city. There's a little brother, big brother dynamic there that creates a heavy rivalry between the teams and fans that runs longer and deeper than any other in the CFL. Hamilton, Toronto is always Game of the Week on Labor Day, even when we suck. He says, so that's what I'm saying. I'm not married to the fact that Sask Winnipeg's the Game of the Week. It is for me, but I know that it is for everybody else. Are you seeing any hype or feeling any buzz there? You're in Toronto, Darren.
Oh, yeah, big time. And when I was at BMO for the CNE game, which I saw was it Dave Naylor or Milt, somebody said that CNE game with the fair going on needs to be like a staple on the calendar every year and have Saskatchewan on the road in Toronto, because it is awesome and the atmosphere is great. I agree. But during that game, a lot of fans were sitting there being like, this is awesome, and I can't wait for Hamilton because it's another great atmosphere. The Argo fans, while they're small, in terms of this city, they're very passionate, and they love it when they have the attention and when that building is jammed and all the rest. So, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of excitement for the Labor Day game.
Let me extrapolate this. 902-518-3033, if I'm using the right term, or expound upon it and ask everybody their favorite Labor Day memory. And that can be college football if you want. Labor Day weekend, what's your best football memory? From across the entire Canadian Football League. By the way, it's in my commentary today. As a born and raised Saskatchewan kid, I am a farm kid. The smell of a wheat field makes me really happy and at home. This shimmering gold of a Durham field. Oh, I love it. I don't want to work in it. I just want to look at it. But the morning of the 1999 Grey Cup, which I believe was Milt's, not Milt's first. It was Geroy Simon's first CFL Labor Day Classic, and he was playing for Winnipeg. Not many people realize that. Geroy Simon. And at the Humpties on Albert in Regina that morning, I ran into Curtis Mayfield, Rough Riders receiver returner. And I was calling the game, and he returned 2 punts for touchdowns that day and set a team record. And I said, who knew that a Humpty's Pan Scrambler's rocket fuel? But that's just mine. That's not right or wrong. What's all your favorite Labor Day memory? I guess I'll ask you, since you're one half of the show. What's yours?
It's very similar. Like, I used to go with my great Uncle Ale and my Aunt Doreen to the game. And the best was we went to the Casino Regina brunch, the buffet brunch there in the show lounge. That was awesome. Loved that every year. That was part of the routine. So it's not like one specific memory, but it's like, that's my favorite thing as a kid. We'd do that. Then we'd head down to the game early, get a program, walk around. Like that's what I think of when I think of Labor Day, the full experience.
Nevin Markwart was with us last hour. Boston Bruins alum, played in 2 Stanley Cup finals and lost them both with the Bruins. Finished up his career with the Flames. He's now running to be the MLA for Momart Mooseman. He was with us last hour. Rick in Martinsville writes in and says, good luck to Nevin in his political career. So they're paying attention. On the Sean Lemon news, Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba writes in. He says, hi, Rod and Moose. No betting on the league you play in. Should be okay. Let them squander their money. I'm just reading in verbatim what he said. I'm not sure what he's saying. There's a rule. You can't bet on the league that you play in, period. End of story. You broke the rule. Not that hard to figure out. Oh, thank you, Kirk in Toronto. Number one, he said he misses the room with the pennants. I didn't know what he meant. He said the one behind me with all the pennants on the wall. It's upstairs here in the Golden Ticket Sports Center, and oh my God. If I wasn't such a nice guy, I'd take all those pennants off the wall and take them home with me to Florida because I really loved them too. Now I know what Kirk's talking about. The old Montreal Alouettes, San Francisco 49ers, Moose Jaw Warriors, Spokane Chiefs, Los Angeles Dodgers. It was an eclectic wall of pennants behind me. But for reasons, technical reasons, broadcast reasons, we're not up there anymore. He goes on to say, former Ottawa Rough Rider owner Bernie Gleiberman has died at age 84, known for he and his son not getting along / crazy promotions. Wait. What do you mean? Known by who? That him and his son didn't get along. They did get along. I'm friends with his son, Lonnie Gleiberman. Lonnie and I are kindred souls. Vastly misunderstood. You've heard the stories of the Gleibermans, Darren. My God. This is what I don't understand about the way sports used to be versus the way it is now, and I'm still kind of stuck. I am like the old guy in Shawshank Redemption that gets put out of jail after a lifetime in jail. I don't know how to operate. I don't know how to operate. That CFL of the 90s, and it wasn't much worse than the 80s. It hasn't been great, but the Gleibermans in Ottawa is part of the CFL history. You know this. You and I have talked about Lonnie and Bernie Gleiberman. Bernie's the dad. Lonnie's the kid. Lonnie was the kid dating the cheerleaders, and he had the Mardi Gras promotion, right, where girls were, you know how Mardi Gras works, and the beads, and women flash it at the stadium. What's the problem with that? Why can't we have this? You know, they weren't maybe the best owners. I don't know, but Bernie, I never met Bernie Gleiberman. But Lonnie and I have gotten to be friends over the years through social media. He actually asked me to consult on a film production he was working on some years ago that never, on whatever reason, got off the ground. But they made their money in the ski hill industry in Michigan, and just a good guy. But have you seen much recognition of Bernie Gleiberman dying? My point is, I had CFL brass say to me, Rod, stop talking about the 90s CFL. We don't want it brought up. But I'm like, but it's such a great part of your history. There's merchandise on it. You know, the San Antonio Texans, the Vegas Posse, the Memphis Mad Dogs. What do you want? The Birmingham Barracudas? I don't know. I don't know what to do.
I know.
I know you're stuck.
Tough.
I just don't.
But it's also the CFL I grew up with, you know, in the 90s. And yes, I was older, but, you know, the 2000s were great. But the 90s is what I fell in love with the CFL. I didn't know any different. I fell in love with the game then. My heroes, my favorite players are all from the 90s and the late 90s.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
Jeff, the Stamps fan, says the Gleibermans brought us the Shreveport Pirates in Mardi Gras, CFL style. I know. It's 11:11 Mountain, 1:11 Eastern, by the way. If anybody is paying attention to that sort of thing.
Not a good lesson, Rod. You want to talk about 11:11 and the 90s, and they say, well, we want to forget about the 90s. The 90s, okay, we're bad. I get it. Whatever. You know, not a great era in the CFL, but like I became a fan. And a lot of other people my age became fans of the CFL in that age. So whatever we think of the CFL or the league, or it's bad or it's crappy or whatever, there's still kids who are falling in love with the league that have no idea about the business of the league. So like you have to be aware that, you know, your game is still good even when it's bad.
I think it's just a different perspective. But I'm telling you, this was the head office. And I'll tell you, it was in the Cohan regime when I had like a daily back and forth with the league office. And in a good way. But Mark Cohan's people wrote me and said, Rob, would you stop writing about and talking about the 90s? It's an embarrassing part of our history we don't want to talk about. And so I did, but I didn't really want to go along with it. And now I don't have to answer to those guys and gals, so I kind of do whatever I want. And my point on all that is, by the way, I asked, what's your favorite Labor Day memory? Chad in Lethbridge writes in and he says, the Kerry Joseph game-winning touchdown in 2007. That's right, 27-yard run by the quarterback with 27 seconds left on the clock to pull off the win. Kirk in Toronto writes in and he says, watching batteries being thrown at Argonaut players at old Never Win Stadium on Labor Day. That's what everybody tell me, what is your best Labor Day memory from back in the day? Tony in Cochrane, Alberta says, not my favorite, but most memorable was Edmonton at Calgary. Labor Day Classic was sitting next to the section of busloads of Edmonton fans when a huge section brawl broke out. I may have knocked out more than one Moes fan.
Oh,
we don't want violence in the stadium. I've never condoned that, ever. Even as kooky as I once was in a past life, we don't condone violence in the stadium at all. Cheer as loud as you want, but don't get in fight. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, yeah, Darren, my son is your age. He became a fan in the 90s as well. Rich in Edmonton says, I was a huge Edmonton Eskimos fan in the 80s. Lost me when the TSN broadcast took priority over the in-stadium experience, i.e. constant commercial break. I guess this is my point. Believe me, I'm not stubborn. I'm actually incredibly open-minded, especially since I got into recovery. You have to be to have success at it. But I also am who I am. And I'll give you an example. Serena and I do this Panthers podcast, Panthers and Lightning podcast, and everything's growing there. I'm going back there on Sunday for the winter and in the hockey season. Now I'm writing for the South Florida Tribune. Darren, I actually had Panthers fans say to me, and maybe I've told you this, we don't care about anything that happened in the NHL before 1970. What? Then stop following me. Because a very important day in your life is when you realize there was a world before we came along and that our parents are actual human beings. Our parents are people. They're not our parents. They're human beings. You know what I mean? They had a life before us. The NHL had a life before you. The CFL had a life before this regime. And I don't know what to do about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm being told to do something that I don't want to do. I've never been real good at that. And I damn sure know you're not good at it. So I guess it's just talk about what you want to talk about, right? If you like it, great. If you don't.
Yeah. I mean, that's just it. But you do need to have the ability to at least put yourself in somebody else's shoes or understand that there's another perspective out there that's not your own.
Well, I examine everybody's perspectives. That's kind of what drives me nuts. But at the end of the day, you need to stand up and say, this is what I think. And that's why I don't really want to go back into just working for the teams because I don't agree with their philosophy. I just don't. And they're in charge. So again, this was the Cohan era. I'll never forget, we settled a labor dispute in 2013, maybe 2014. And I got a call from the CFL head office, and it was the top PR guy, and he goes, Rod, just hang on. Mark's on the phone with TSN right now, and then he's going to talk to you. And I said, oh, why is he calling me? And he said, because you've got the biggest voice in the CFL outside of TSN. Mark wanted us to call you next. Just hang on. He's doing the interview. That was the relationship that we did have. It was also that same guy that said to me, don't talk about the 90s CFL. Okay. And then Ed Willis goes and writes a whole book on it, End Zones and Border Wars, which ended up being a bestseller. So it is what it is. We not talk about the drunk uncle in the corner that makes a fool out of himself? Do we not talk about him? Do we just ignore him?
I know you're going to talk about it in your book.
Oh, yeah. Jen at the Four Seasons writes in. She says, I miss the bus loads of Bomber fans that used to come to the Four Seasons for drinks and buffet before going to the game. The Bomber girls were awesome. Oh, yeah. Winnipeg girls are great. That's always been a thing. We'll take a break. Oh, Snowman's in next, isn't he? Moose, it looks like you're done. Okay.
I know. And the last thought I'll leave you with is I know you're so good at keeping track of this stuff and you've got a collection like this. I can't wait for your book to come out. And in the middle, the photos section will be,
oh my God,
iconic.
Fire. I got stuff in my phone that I was told if you post that, you're dead. All those
that should be on the cover.
How about that?
I know. No, John Ohm in Winnipeg is designing the cover. So, yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be great. Okay, Moose. Have a great day. All right. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. The Snowman joins us to talk NFL next. We're live on the Game Plus television network. Key Radio down there in Atlanta. We're going to be talking about some Falcons, so rise up, Dirty Birds. Streaming live on YouTube, also Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
All right, couple things before we bring in the Snowman, just regarding the CFL not wanting me to talk about the 90s era CFL back in the day. Michael's watching in Winnipeg at Ice Time Sports. His sporting goods store, he's got us on the television every day. He says the Flutie Pringle era was legendary, so good. Hashtag CFL. I guess we're okay to talk about that. It's not okay to talk about the ownership and the U.S. expansion, just to clarify. All right, can we bring in the Snowman? So this is what they were talking about. A guy wrote in here, Snowman, about this news today. A person with knowledge of the deal says the Dallas Cowboys and running back Delvin Cook have agreed on a contract. The addition of Delvin gives the Cowboys another option at a position in flux, even with the return of two-time rushing champion Ezekiel Elliott. He was waived by the Jets with one game remaining last season after spending 6 seasons in Minnesota. Good deal or bad deal for the Cowboys and Dalvin? Snowman?
Why didn't they sign Dalvin at the top of the season to start with? Why didn't they sign Dalvin Cook to begin the offseason to solve your running back problems? Because you now have a running back in Ezekiel Elliott that now has extra tread on his tires that wasn't necessary because of all the time that he spent not just in Dallas but in New England. And then you have Dalvin Cook, who was waived by the Jets, as you said, but also still 2 years coming off of a major injury. But Dalvin Cook will give you better production in Dallas than Ezekiel Elliott will. I think Dalvin Cook can be a 1,000-yard rusher in Dallas now that they've repaired that offensive line. And if the Cowboys go with the philosophy of running the football, you can get 1,000 yards off of Dalvin Cook. You can get about 60, 70 catches out of Dalvin Cook. The key is, can the Cowboys use him correctly, and will they not be afraid to give him the football?
Yeah, well, I just mentioned the years. This is his 8th season in the NFL, let's be honest. Dime a dozen or not, that's age. That's a lot of tread left worn off that tire. Let's be honest.
It is.
Hey, good looking. Ryan O'Radio has checked in from WQEE 99.1 FM. We got to talk about his Dirty Birds. What I'm hearing from the pundits is that the Falcons are going to be the sexy team, the team that makes the biggest jump. Yeah, Producer Clark, that's his team. You go along with that, Snowman?
I do, but I don't. I have the same fear of Atlanta as I do for Dallas. And instead of it being Dalvin Cook, the subject is Bijan Robinson. The first 2 years, Bijan Robinson has been great. He has one flaw, fumbling the football, i.e. Roger Craig in his later years. Bijan Robinson is dynamic. You got Kirk Cousins there, 36 years old, coming off of an injury. I think he can and maybe will have a bounce-back year. You have a young gun in Michael Penix that can step in just in case Cousins does get injured, because that has to be the key for Atlanta, keeping the key positions healthy. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, they're all there. They're all there. That offense can put up points now that you have the right people in place, and now that you have a decent offensive line blocking for them. Staying together is going to be the key throughout the season. Up times, down times. Yes, everyone's picking Atlanta to win the South Division. And you know what? I can go along with that. Atlanta just can't believe their own hype. They've got to go out there and play football.
They got an unproven coach. I'm just going to put that out there. Any chance that could stand in their way?
Yep. Unproven coaches have been trouble, especially lately with now everybody running a version of the West Coast offense. God bless you, Bill Walsh. unproven coach in Raheem Morris, who was a defensive coordinator for many years. What is his role? We know he's the head coach, but you have to look at it this way. Psychologically, what is going to be his role with this young team and a 36-year-old quarterback running them?
Snowman, it's great having you on. If you want to come over to my house and read me bedtime stories, that would be great. I just love your voice.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
funny,
you. I appreciate
Ryan O'Radio from WQEE writing in and he says, Snowman on the RP show. I know, right? It's like when Tootie Ramsey from Facts of Life appeared on Different Strokes.
Yes.
Well, it was a tough time getting our minds around that. Same thing here. The Cardinal. Yeah. The Cardinal, Ryan McCarthy checks in, says, what up, Snowman? In Saratoga, New York. Jay in Winnipeg writes in, he says, a Roger Craig reference. Wow. What a hot tub time machine. Oh, I know.
How about that?
I feel like those NFL analysts are just stealing money, Snowman, because it's so easy to talk about the NFL and fill time because there's so many teams. The one thing, like, I don't even know where to go next. Are you sick about talking about the Dallas Cowboys and even hearing about the Dallas Cowboys? I'm a Cowboys fan, and I'm sick of hearing about the Dallas Cowboys. I can see the disgust in your eyes as I brought it up.
Well, think about how much stuff comes out about the Dallas Cowboys and not many other teams. Think of how much stuff comes out about the Cowboys when you have you got trouble in San Francisco with Ayuk and Trent Williams. And believe me, I'm sick to death of hearing news about that. Just sign them already and get it over with. But that pales in comparison to every little bit of news that comes out about the Cowboys. Are they going to sign CeeDee Lamb? Are they going to fix their offensive line? I mean, answer the question, sign the guys, and let's go. It's go time now.
Yeah, I'm listen, they get their share of pub, so we've already given them more than they should. Who's your Super Bowl pick, Snowman? I don't believe I've...
Chiefs, Niners, round 3. Chiefs, Niners, round 3 in New Orleans. Because
that would be a slobber knocker.
It's going to be the first to 100 points in that game. I mean, they meet in Week 7 as a preview of what's going to happen in New Orleans. As long as the Chiefs stay healthy, and they stole Xavier Worthy from the Bills in the draft, as long as the 49ers stay healthy and they have to sign Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk, which they're close to doing, even though reports say otherwise, who's going to stop them? I love Detroit, but Detroit has Dan Campbell as their coach. And if you saw what happened in the NFC Championship game, he's going to make one too many mistakes. Jordan Love is good. Okay, let me just put this out there. Jordan Love is not good. Jordan Love is good. I beg your pardon. His receiving core is dynamite. The problem is you have a running back that didn't get used well by the Raiders trying to replace Aaron Jones in Green Bay. That answers that question about that competitor. The NFC East Division is in flux because everyone's picking either Philadelphia or Dallas to win the division. And I have an upset. I got Washington winning the division. Reason? Jaden Daniels.
I'm not going to say you're smoking something, but I'll ask if you're smoking something.
How about that?
Who's the last raw rookie to take his team to a division title? I'd have to think about this for a second. It's not completely unheard of, but you look at the 2021 draft class. Of those 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round, 4 are on new teams. That's a lot of pressure to put on a kid in a tough division.
It is.
Snowman. That's all.
It is.
Rich in Edmonton says ESPN's brutal for covering the Cowboys. It's like TSN's Leafs coverage. Brutal. I know. I don't get it either, and I'm a Cowboys fan. Regarding fights in the stands, I said I don't advocate fights in the stands. Do whatever you want, but be safe this weekend, the Labor Day games, and then the NFL after. Tony in Cochrane says, I didn't start the brawl, Rod. He was talking about an Edmonton-Calgary game. But when I got hit by a beer can, I lost it. And who wouldn't? You do you.
It's the Battle of Alberta. Why would you be surprised if there's a brawl in the stands? It's the Battle of Alberta.
I know. I'm just, the things you see when you're sober now, you know, I'm like, just please keep it silver. The teams, they sell all this booze and then wonder why there's problems.
Exactly.
Ryan in Saratoga, New York says the look on Rod's face when Snowman said Washington was winning the NFC East. Priceless.
How about that?
But unlike these analysts that are stealing money, as you correctly said, for not just covering the Cowboys, but the NFL, you just get the feeling they just don't really dive in and analyze the games and the teams like they should. Because if they did, it's a 3-horse race in the NFC East division, just like it's a 2-horse race in the NFC West with the Rams and the 49ers, right? If you look at it honestly, if you look at it completely honest, there's at least a 2-team race in many of the divisions in the NFL. The surprising 2-team race will be in the AFC South, because not only do you have the Texans there, the kings of the division, you also have the Indianapolis Colts nipping at their heels with a healthy Anthony Richardson, a healthy Jonathan Taylor. The offensive line is nasty again because they're all healthy and they're hungry. And also they have a Donnie Mitchell out of Texas, a 2-time national champion, ready to make the same kind of difference for the Colts that Xavier Worthy is ready to make for the Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. You see why now the coaches are so protective of their vets and their stars in the preseason, because what is usually the biggest determining factor is injuries. Look at Aaron Rodgers. That whole AFC East went up in smoke 4 plays into Monday Night Football in Week 1.
And it's going to go up in smoke. And it's going to go up in smoke again. And I know Ryan McCarthy is going to break out his receipt book, but it's going to go up in smoke again halfway through the season. But look at Aaron Rodgers. He's 40 years old. He's coming off of a major injury. Yes, the weapons are there. You got Brees Lightning, aka Brees Hall, but it's Aaron Rodgers that worries me. At 40, coming off of an injury, 4 plays into Monday Night Football, which, as you said, Rod, threw the AFC East into a flux. And if something happens to Aaron Rodgers or any key member of that Jets offense, it's going to throw it into a flux again.
Yeah. Oh, man. The stories, they are literally unending. Snowman, you, sir, are a national treasure. Tell folks where they can follow your stuff, please.
My new YouTube channel for Snowman in the Morning is youtube.com/SIT Morning. That is live right now, and the live shows start there Monday morning. And youtube.com/Snowman Multimedia for my virtual play-by-play. Come on over and let's have some fun.
He's one of the best you'll ever hear. Snowman, you have yourself a great day.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, we're heading back out on the video line when we come back. The number's open, 902-518-3033. We've been doing viewer takeover all day, and the people seem to quite like it. Phil Donahue being credited for audience participation first, just so you know, in this daytime television world that we live in, this perilous trade. We're live on Game Plus TV. Thank you, Rich in Edmonton. That was good stuff. Thank you. Snowman's so good. You can really notice when you get a pair of broadcasters together. Think about that. We're also on WQEE Radio, streaming live on YouTube, also Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Hi, my name is Logan Stangle.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
CFL fans, join us for the second annual Labor Day Golf Classic this Saturday at Aspen Links Golf Club in Regina, hosted by the RP Show. It's your chance to golf with your choice of Rough Riders and Blue Bombers greats. DM us for details. I know this guy is a big Rough Riders great. Vance Weber joining us for the Wolseley Sportsplex and the wonderful Wolseley Sportsplex fundraising banquet coming up in October. Vance, long time no see. How you doing, brother?
It's been a great summer. Very productive and just beautiful, honestly, too.
Yeah, it has been.
We're looking forward to seeing you soon.
I'm looking forward to getting out there. And look, yeah, I'll just say I've been watching the work you guys have been doing, putting together the first ever sports banquet in Wolseley, benefiting the Wolseley Sportsplex, October the 19th. Tell our folks about it.
Well, we've got a great lineup of guests. We've got a spectacular MC by the name of Rod Pedersen. He's showing up, and he's going to be being the master of ceremonies for us. Then we got three special guests. A local guy named Gil Dash. He's a Paralympic curler. He's going to be telling us some of his story. We got Bob Pulley, who, speaking of riders, what a legend, right? And Lauren Mulliken, amazing coach, raised in Saskatchewan. He's got roots throughout a lot of the WHL and, I mean, Chicago Blackhawks coach, right? He's amazing lineup, I think. So, yeah. Then if you're interested in coming, the cool thing is this whole event, $100. That's all it's going to cost you, and you get a $65 tax receipt out of it. So it's a really good bang for your buck.
And of course, and the idea of this was all born out of the Craft Celebration Tour and Wolseley's bid to win it. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but I think you guys kind of got a whiff of, hey, this making money fundraising for the rink is nice. Let's continue it, is kind of where I feel like where it went. And Lauren Mulliken, by the way, well, all these guys, close friends of mine, but Lauren did coach the Chicago Blackhawks, you're right, but also an assistant in Pittsburgh and San Jose. He's got a million stories. Bob Pulley, one of the most beloved Saskatchewan Roughriders of all time. And you talk about selling tickets. I see the sponsorship is going great guns on this too. What are the people in the town and area saying about it, Vance?
Everybody is just stoked about it. We've gotten a really good response, not just locally, but actually from across Saskatchewan. Like our head sponsor, Brant, they stepped up to the plate big time, and they're our head sponsor. And then we've got some local farmers that are coming in as platinums and gold sponsors. It's really going to help us out. We have a goal of raising $800,000 ballpark, thanks to the craft hockey bill we mentioned before, and other fundraising activities. We just started phase one, putting in a dehumidifier and some other cost-effective measures are going in. They should be up and running prior to ice prep this year. And if this raises the kind of funds we're looking at, and we get a couple of grants we've applied for, we might actually start working towards that plant start next year for 2025. So it's coming close.
Oh, good. Well, I'll tell you what, if you do raise that goal, it'll be the most money I've ever witnessed raised at a sports banquet like that. But the one exciting thing is, I'm sure you've noticed, every town used to have one of these. Not that many do anymore. This is a special thing that you're doing. There's not a million sports banquets out there this fall across Saskatchewan. This is the focus, I feel, is on Wolseley. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, it feels like it. I mean, I've talked to a couple of people, clients and whatnot in the area, and they've asked me about it, which is kind of nice. And so, of course, I've, mentioned ticket sales are coming on right away. In fact, we just had a meeting last night, and we're getting them printed, started, I think, tomorrow for distribution shortly. So that's going to be amazing. And people are really excited about locally and across southern Saskatchewan that I've been talking to. One other thing, too, I forgot to mention. We've got a character who's been lined up to help us out with some auction of silent items and also a live auction. His name's Larry Mueller. I'm assuming you heard of him before.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. You're going to let him into the building, are you? Oh, he's got a million stories. He's got a million connections. That's the father of Saskatchewan Roughriders offensive coordinator Mark Mueller, son-in-law of Ron Lancaster. How did this come about?
Actually through a mutual friend, his name's Reg. He said, let's call this guy and bring him in. And he's a character. I've talked to him a few times on the phone, always entertained. So like I said, that $100 ticket with a $65 tax receipt attached to it, you're going to be getting a huge value for your money and a great meal too, right?
Yeah, $100 is unbelievable for a night of just fabulous fundraising. That's the main thing, but just the sports stories. I love doing it. It's the best part of my job that I do. To be honest, if you got Larry Mueller, you don't need me. I'll just say that because he's that kind of guy. Rich in Edmonton has written in and says, anyone with rural Saskatchewan roots knows the importance of banquets. And I don't know why he put air quotes or quotes around banquets, but this is the lifeline. I'll wind it up on this. The Wolseley Sportsplex is the lifeline of the community, and I don't just mean the town. I mean the whole region. I know it well, so maybe you should just talk about the importance of that, if you don't mind, Vance. And thank you, Rich, for bringing it up.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. You'll go to a game, whether it's the little guys, U7, all the way up to our junior C team, and you're going to have 94-year-olds sitting next to 9-month-olds. And the amount of conversations, it really builds a community in those cold winter months. But you know what? Actually, the arena is even important to us in the summer. We just got done a cabaret last weekend. We raised, I think it was $16,000 or $11,000 after expenses by throwing on a band and having a hell of a party, right? So it's so vital to that pulse of the community, having fun, building neighbors and communities, and it just builds the whole community and everybody's spirits get lifted. So it's a lot of fun, and hopefully you guys want to come out and enjoy our entertainment.
Very well said, Vance. Okay, number one, you just tell the people around there, and I'm going to say it right now. The hardest I ever got hit was in Wolseley, and I never caught the guy's name. We're going to find him that night, October 19th, and we're going to deal with him. It was a cheap shot, and it was in the Midget Provincials 1989. And we're going to talk about that as part of my presentation, and I'm betting the guy's in the crowd. So we're going to out him. That's just part of it. Where can people get their tickets, Vance?
So I would argue that the best way to get in touch with tickets right now for people across North America would be go to wolseley.arenaboard@gmail.com if you want to buy them online. Also, if you want to do any sponsorship or just make an anonymous donation or whatever, we'll make sure you get recognition if you want it. But that's Wolseley, WOLSELEY .arenaboard@gmail.com. And that's the best way to get a ticket. You'll get a great tax receipt too and a great time.
I just wrote it down, and now that summer's coming to a close and all these other things are out of the way, I'll be fully on board helping you sell those tickets. And we're going to track that guy down, Vance. So good luck with everything. You got my number if you need anything else. Thanks for this, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun as always. You take care, and we'll see you in 50-odd days.
You bet it. You bet. That is, he's a very good speaker as advertised. Vance Weber from the Wolseley Sportsplex. WolseleyArenaboard@gmail.com. Myself, Lauren Mulliken, Bob Poley, Gil Dash, October 19th, raising money for the Wolseley Sportsplex. We'll be back in a moment. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, Key Radio, streaming live on YouTube as always, also Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The WCBL continued to grow this summer. 12 teams, 2 provinces, pacing towards 400,000 fans, an all-time high in 2024. The WCBL had a record number of players drafted in this summer's Major League Baseball draft. 2024 playoffs start August 7th.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hi, everybody. We got a guy just chimed in on the YouTube channel with all kinds of NFL updates. I got him here. I'm going to read him, okay, in the sports update. But there's time for you. We've been doing viewer takeover all show. 902-518-3033. Maybe that's what we'll do the rest of the week because people seem to like it. You know, hey, Brian in Hudson's Bay writes in, he says, I like the Snowman. Cool guy. No, he is. Thank you. Everybody enjoys when the Snowman comes on. And I want to say this about this show. 1,326 episodes. You think we just come on here and act like a bunch of jackwagons every day. And yes, we do. It's me and my friends. But you're not getting on here unless you're good at what you do. That's the one thing. And I remember doing this show at the Grey Eagle Casino in Calgary. And a lot of the staff would gather around, and we had viewers come in and watch it live. And one of the guys, Julian, he was a security guard. He goes, all the people you have on the show, they're great broadcasters. Yep. That's the way it's going to be. We have great broadcasters on this show. I know it sounds simple, but not everybody's doing it. So thank you. It stands out once you got good broadcasters on there. And I appreciate that you guys have noticed that, and gals, and loved the show today. The sports update is this. A person with knowledge of the deal says the Dallas Cowboys and running back Dalvin Cook have agreed on a contract. The addition of Cook gives the Cowboys another option at running back, even with the return of two-time rushing champion Ezekiel Elliott. The source tells the Associated Press the Cowboys plan to put Cook on the practice squad for now. Pittsburgh Steelers are going to let Russell Wilson cook. Coach Mike Tomlin has selected the 9-time Pro Bowler as the starting quarterback heading into Week 1. And how about this? Joe Flacco watched football from his couch last season before joining the Cleveland Browns in November and leading them to the playoffs to earn the AP Comeback Player of the Year award. Several accomplished free agents are in a similar position waiting for a call this year. Ryan Tannehill, who went 30-13 while leading Tennessee to the postseason for 3 straight years, has remained unsigned since his contract with the Titans expired. Trevor Siemian, who was 2-1 in 3 starts for the New York Jets last season, also has been available for months. Desmond Ridder began last season as Atlanta's starting quarterback. The 2022 third-round pick was released by Arizona Tuesday after failing to beat out Clayton Tune for the backup job behind Kyler Murray. And Mike White, Bailey Zappi, and Brett Rippon also are among the quarterbacks who became available when rosters were trimmed to 53 players on Tuesday in the National Football League. The sports update's brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. We've got it all. Use the promo code RP Show now for 15% off your next order. Check us out at SeatGiant.ca. RP Show is the sports updates brought to you in part by Landmark Cinemas. Every Monday is Seniors Day at Landmark Cinemas. Get more of the movies you love every Monday for less. Seniors get 20% off the posted seniors admission price, plus 20% off at the concessions, too. It's a deal that never gets old. Check your favorite Landmark Cinemas for showtimes and pricing. And I might add, I went to the movie last night, Blink Twice, starring Channing Tatum, and it was disturbing. He was very good, but it was disturbing. And there was a disclaimer at the start of the movie saying, if you're triggered by scenes of abuse, you might want to watch this show. We're also brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Connect with thought leaders and industry experts through EMJ Marketing Speakers Bureau. Visit emjmarketing.com. So there. 4 minutes to get through this. 902-518-3033. Blair writes in. Blair is in Winnipeg, Manitoba. He says, Cowboys, If they're good, they can't stop talking about them. If they suck, what's wrong with the Cowboys? Enough already. I know it. I know exactly what you say, and I'm a Cowboys fan. I don't understand it. Like I'm by leaps and bounds learning a lot of things about America. The more and more time that I learn about it, more times that I'm there. Here's another one. All they ever talk about is the quarterbacks. And if they're not talking about the quarterbacks, they're largely only talking about the receivers. Today, they're talking about running backs. I understand that. But if you go and listen to all these shows, and I was this morning as I go out for my run, I'm listening to NFL Radio, ESPN Radio, Pro Football Talk, Dan Patrick, Fox Sports Radio. All they talk about is the quarterback. And that's cool because we all know who those quarterbacks are. But in Canada, we talk about all the players at all the positions in the NHL, but also the Canadian Football League. It's just when they say it's a quarterback league, I think any football league is. But back on point with the Cowboys, I don't understand the fascination with the Dallas Cowboys. It's a marketing shtick. But we'll say this, Jerry Jones, Dan Patrick went after him hard today on his show. He didn't outright call him a narcissist, but he probably should have, by saying he surrounds himself with inferior people and he wants people with no personality and people that he's able to manipulate. All true, by the way. And that's coming from a Cowboys fan. Daniel writes in, he says, we want Matthew back here. We need him ASAP. Oh, we need him back here in BC. We need him ASAP. Matthew Betts released by the Detroit Lions yesterday. And I just saw the story, the notification come down from 3downnation.com that Matthew Betts has cleared NFL waivers and is weighing his NFL and CFL options. We are inside last minute of play in the RP show. Haven't done that for a while.
How about that?
Well, I hope you enjoyed this viewer takeover today. I'm going to be meeting with some great friends here shortly this afternoon. Tonight, we're going to heckle Clark at the Ross. If you want to come out and heckle producer Clark pitching, come on out and join me and Joe. We're going to be heckling producer Clark. Bring your best beaks. Jeremy in Winnipeg says, I think the real reason NFL players come into the league and tear it up is college is so It makes them ready when they come. Yeah, your comment didn't come all the way through. Whatever it is. Thank you, Snowman. Nibsy. Vance Weber. It was a big one. Most of all you, because you played the biggest part of it. We'll do it all again tomorrow right here.
Who has more fun than us?